Harmon Trout, I never met, I never knew him, but we just sort of accepted the idea that, yes, we could just go over there in his farmland and I guess don't affect the crops, but just camp over near the river and that's all right. And so that was just a nonchalant way of doing things. And the same way in the pavilion, we could just sort of camp in the pavilion and nobody said anything or nothing. And then later on, Buck Harper assumed a little more control, and he would come around early in the morning to collect a little fee from everybody who's tenting or whatever. About that time, we began thinking it would be nice if we had a cabin out there. And I drew up some plans for a cabin, and the idea that maybe we get PATC to help fund it a bit, especially if it was going to be open to hikers. And so I thought I picked a site just on the east side of the hanging bridge, the suspension bridge, and with Buck's help was introduced to the other farmer who owned that land. And I think we got a contract from him as for how much he wanted for it. And I am not sure, but I think we must have signed a contract saying that we would pay this amount of money. And then we had to wait for a while before he's going to look into it or something. And it turned out that this happened to coincide with the time that the Forest Service was going to take possession of this land, however, by condemnation or whatever. And he needed some way of fixing what would be the value of that land. And so once he had that contract from us, as saying how much we'd pay for that little bit of a acre maybe, that he could use that to say, this is the value of my land. And so that probably helped him get funding or get what he wanted, or maybe close to what he wanted, out of that condemnation of his farm. And so, of course, then that killed the idea of a cabin there. Arnold and I were liking convenience as opposed to tenting or pavilion, whatever. And so I forget how it came up, but I guess Arnold and Buck talked it over and he offered that house for rent. So we did. We rented it, and then Arnold and I went off for a couple of weekends going to garage sales out there and picking up what had been wanted to be discarded. And we probably maybe we paid a little more than we should have, but they may have saw us coming. But anyway, we furnished the whole place with, I remember, a really lumpy sofa and a couple of big mattresses and an old Victorian type table, center pier, and we bought a wood stove. And Arnold put up a lot of his photographs since he was an excellent photographer, and we had a card table which was outside. We took outside when we wanted to entertain some guests. It was all just sort of friendly. We were just, very casual. Hello, could we have an apple? Oh, sure, you come on and help us pick or something. That sort of acceptance into the local group. Is just how you. Oh, in the same way, going to Champ Rocks. The owner there that had the farm said, yeah, I don't remember him as a person at all, but yeah, we could go along there. Just be sure you shut the gate after you to keep my cows from getting loose. And you can go there and cross the river and climb. There's this acceptance, and it was all on this very casual. I think the way it was like before money was thought of. You just sort of accepted people for what they could do, or what they did or what they wanted, and you took them at face value, which was that's this whole feeling, I think, of the openness of the local people. They just accepted us for doing what they thought maybe was silly or inconsequential.